Welcome, welcome, welcome to class 4 of my monthly moon classes. I have been doing these every month to have a way of reaching a larger group when it comes down to really learning astrology and how to really incorporate astrology into your day-to-day lives. You know what I'm saying? So the purpose of this class is for us to go over what the characteristics are of Sagittarius energy. Not only that, Sagittarius polar opposite is Gemini. So for us to go through the Gemini stuff, we just had a Gemini full moon that was a lunar eclipse that was on the 30th. So we're going to go through those things. And then we're going to also go through the characteristics of Jupiter, characteristics of Mercury. Why Mercury? Because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, of course. Then we're going to get into what y'all know one of my favorite parts is medical astrology. I want you guys to not only know how this stuff is affecting your vibration, but how it's affecting your organs, like how your body is literally dealing with the energy as it's being like downloaded from, the heavens. And as you're going through what you're supposed to go through in your chart is a lot of energy that you're having to deal with. So we're going to go through the medical astrology of the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. We're also going to get into a little bit in depth of the partial lunar eclipse we just had on the 30th. And then we're also going to talk about this major thing that's getting ready to happen on the 21st, on the solstice, okay? Which is like, it's a 400-year type of portal that's happening. You guys are already feeling it. We're all feeling all over the place. Our mental is off the Richter. We're feeling motivated. We feel like, the dreams that we've had, we're trying to work out the ways of getting to, and it's a reason why all of this is happening. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about it. What I said as you guys were coming in, that the energy on the 21st is so big. If I was to really talk about that, that would be a whole nother hour. And because it's Thursday, I want to keep us on time as much as I possibly can. We may go a little over, so if you guys have to leave, it's okay. You're going to get the playback, so that's fine. But I want to also get into a little bit of the 21st energy, what you need to kind of do with it, like what it means. And then we're going to get into questions, if you guys got any questions about anything. And then the last part is I want to talk about how to develop a spiritual practice. Okay, a lot of us have been raised through Christianity, or we got Jehovah's Witness backgrounds, got all kind of different religious backgrounds, right? Some of the stuff works, some of it don't. So what do? I know those of us who find ourselves separating from Christianity, when it no longer works for you, you just don't do nothing, right? But that you can't do that, because Sagittarius is a prescription of making sure that you have a spiritual practice. So before I let you guys leave, I want to talk about how to develop your own spiritual or religious practice for yourself, so that you can go into the in-depths of that during the Sagittarius cycle. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Let me share my screen. All right, can y'all see that? I can see it for you guys to the right, so you can nod your head. Can you see this? Okay, great. All right. So again, we're here for Sag season. Yay! To all my Sagittarius, happy birthday. Turn up. Even though we are still in quarantine, do as much as you possibly can to make sure that you are celebrating yourself. So for this month, we're going to talk about philosophies. We're going to talk about spirituality and ratchet shit in astrology. I put that there because I know that's a trigger for Sagittarius energy. Because Sagittarius, it's the mind, and I want to make sure but the truth is, you can't be a spiritual person and not talk about sex. You can't be a spiritual person and not be some form of being connected to what ratchet just means, your wild side. Okay, so I don't want nobody to be triggered like I'm trying to call them ratchet. You know what I'm saying? Because I like ratchet. I'm ratchet. All right. I like to twerk. I like to do all the things that makes my vagina vibrate up high levels. Okay, so you can call it ratchet, call it whatever the fuck you want. Don't matter to me, because at the base of it, it's still inclusive to who you are as a spiritual person. Okay, or your religious backgrounds. All right. All right, so for this class, we're going to talk about the basic aspects of Sag. We're going to talk about the characteristics of Jupiter as it relates to Sagittarius, Mercury as it relates to Gemini. We're going to talk about your Pluto sign. Okay, so right now, if you do not have your chart, you need to go get it. Okay, and how you go get it, go to cafeastrology.com / I think it's natal.php. It was actually in your email that I sent you guys out, the link of how to go and get it. You need your chart every time you come to class, so that when we start talking about the specifics of these particular aspects, I want you to be focused on what your aspect is. Okay, so you got to get your chart. So if you don't, while I'm going through the intros and those things, make sure you go and get your chart and pull it up. You need to know your entire wheel or your entire box chart. So that means you need to know where all your planets are and all your houses. If you don't know your time of birth and you don't have your houses, it's okay. Just hang in there on the planetary side of it. And then some kind of way, reach out to me and I'll try to help you to figure out how to get it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about your Pluto sign, which is the planet of love. Okay, it's planet of opportunity, abundance, like it's finances, it's good stuff. Okay, we're gonna talk about Jupiter in the houses. So I'm gonna talk about your particular Jupiter sign, okay, and how that is in the houses. All right, going back up, that shouldn't say the Pluto sign. It should say your Jupiter sign. So that's a typo. Okay. All right, then going into your Mercury sign, which is your communication language. So we got to talk about the communication styles because it is the polar opposite to Jupiter. So we're going to talk about Jupiter and how Jupiter works. You can't talk about it without talking about Gemini because of the types of communication that they're having. All right. Again, the medical astrology. The medical astrology for Sagittarius and Gemini is the respiratory axis. All right. So that's dealing with our lungs and dealing with how we breathe. Okay, so that's gonna have, also I'm gonna bring up, when we get into in depths of that, I'm gonna bring up how that correlates to COVID and the whole cold flu season. All right. Also, we're gonna talk about the partial lunar eclipse in Gemini that happened on the 30th. It was a really huge opener for what we're going to experience on the 21st. So it's real good details. It's still open, even though today is the 3rd, we're still in that energy. Okay, so you can still kind of work with it. We don't do rituals on eclipse energy because the lights go out. All right, so and because the lights are going out and coming back on, is more so about reveal and what you see, and less about trying to make things happen or trying to conjure during those time periods. It's the time to be still. Okay, so not rituals, but just definitely digging into maybe some things that you need to kind of look into that happened on the 30th. Okay, going into the questions and the comments, and then the bonus, like I said earlier, developing your spiritual practices. All right, so let's get into it. The basics of Sagittarius. All right, so the symbol for Sag is the archer. The keyword is I perceive. Okay, so understand that keyword for this month, I perceive, or your perception, is everything. What you think about, how you perceive life, all of that is very, very important, especially this season, this 2020-21 season. All right, the dates for Sagittarius is November 22nd. Through December 21st. That can fluctuate depending on if it's a leap year. The element is fire. The planet is Jupiter. Okay. The polar opposite sign is Gemini, which is what we have the full moon on the 30th. The body parts that Sagittarius is the ruler over is the liver. All right, number 1, and then the hips and the thighs. All right. The house that Sagittarius governs is the 9th house. The mode of energy for Sagittarius is immutable. The polarity of Sagittarius energy is yang, or positive, or more masculine or male. The season of Sagittarius is early winter. All right, day Thursday, colors are purple. As you can see, the background for your slides, your girls rocking some purple, got the goals. Y'all see, every class I come with the color coordination, okay? That ain't just because I want to look fly for y'all. It's because we're doing some magic. We're working together. So if I'm going to teach y'all some stuff, right, I want to make sure that I'm leading off in the vibration that I want you guys to be thinking about when you're using this information every month, okay? So this month, wear more purples, wear more golds, wear more royal blue, okay? Listen, it ain't just on the top, yo. Ooh, look, I'm real about this shit. I ain't playing with y'all, okay? All right. So let's go into Jupiter and Mercury now. All right. So when we talk about Jupiter, first of all, I love this season. I don't really too much like the winter. So I don't really like how Sag bring the whole winter season in. So that part I can about. But the Jupiter energy, this energy that we're feeling like it's time to expand and get outside of the ways of our own minds, that part is lit, okay? And that's why I like being a little bit more ratchet during this time. I'm gonna do a lot more twerking on social media, I think, this month. That's gonna be part of my spiritual practice, is doing that, okay? But Jupiter rules over the Sagittarius, and it also is co-rule over Pisces. So when we come back around and start to deal with Pisces later in 2021, we're gonna talk about Jupiter again, okay? Jupiter, when it's ruling Sagittarius, is always searching for expansion. It's searching for faith, knowledge, and challenge. All right. So everything to do with those things. So the mind, how you believe, what you believe in, what are your challenges, right? What things that you allow to challenge you versus the things that you push away, the things that you judge. You're very hard judging on because you really don't want to face it. Okay. Some of the keywords or the meanings of dealing with Sagittarius, you got joy, expansiveness, positivity, luck, generosity. Sometimes the energy goes along with being lazy, but we'll explain why. Boundlessness, okay? It's both spiritual and physical. So it's about the mind and how the mind perceives or your spiritual practices, but it's also about how that feels. How does it feel inside of you? What good does it do to have all of this expansion and knowledge in your head when it's not being expressed? That Sagittarius is going to make sure that you express that. You want to be able to express that, okay? It's also about the psychological and the curiosity of the mind, all right? Lucky versus being opportunistic. Both of those are inside of the Jupiter-Sag region, okay? The seeker, the truth finder. Most of the things that we have when we look at these old ancient facts, these artifacts from way, way back, most of the people that's finding that, or the teams that's being led to do that, is Sagittarius. The reason being is because you ain't gonna just tell a Sag anything. Where's the proof to it? Let me see the truth in what you're saying. So they go on truth excursions, or they travel to different places to try to find out what the truth is or what their truth is, okay? They're also the student first, so they can become the teacher. So that's why they are okay with getting the education or getting more knowledge, because they know the opportunities is going to come for them to now be in the position to now be the teacher of these same things, okay? It's also hidden fantasies and sex desires. What I mean is sometimes that Sag Jupiter region, okay, have things that they want to experience, and they might not be telling nobody. They might be sneaking watching it. For example, a Sag is like walking in the room and they're reading the encyclopedia, but inside the encyclopedia, they're reading some BDSM shit, okay? That's what I mean about hidden fantasies and sex desires, meaning that it's still inside of knowledge, right? But it's also some sexual desires in there, okay? Now, when we're talking about Mercury, we're now talking about Gemini and Virgo, okay? So when we're talking about the Mercury perspectives as it correlates to Gemini, it's known for connecting ideas together and the love of information of all kinds. So now how you can kind of see, how these two energies work so well together, right? Because it's mind on mind, or it's information on information and connecting these things, right? It's also about the Gemini perspective is very talkative, it's changeable, it's intellect, it's mind, logic. It's also part of being the trickster, because when you start to think about the mind or start to talk about things that correlate to the mind, it's always this, is it? Because Gemini is two ways, right? So is it really that way, or is it the other way, or is it both ways? You kind of get into that psyche when you start to think about how the trickster part of Gemini can really come in. It also governs over the communicative abilities and your mental faculties, okay? It's expressive, it's creative, okay? Curious and intellectual discourse, absorbed and involved, constantly moving and experiencing. So these are the energies of the planets, right? That's having the conversation with you for this month. These are the two primary planets. Now we got other stuff that's going on around these, right? But every time of the year, of this time of the year, you're going to be dealing with these two same planets. It's not going to change. Now you're going to have other things that you're going to have to deal with, but these are going to always be your main two planets that you're going to be dealing with every Sagittarius season, okay? All right, so now let's get into your Jupiter sign. So real quick, everybody type in what your Jupiter sign is on the chat. All right. And when you type that in, I want you to go to your particular Jupiter sign on this slide right here, and I want you to read it. I only want you to focus on what your Jupiter sign is, okay? So let me pull my chat up real quick and see what y'all saying over here. All right. I see Virgo says, Pearl says Virgo, Marcel Virgo, Courtney Leo, Tia Virgo, Crystal Capricorn, Drea Cap, okay? Leslie Libra, Naima, Gaia, Aries, okay? And then Naima Aquarius, okay? All right, my Jupiter is Cancer. All right, now when you're looking at these, I want you to understand that this is giving you the characteristics of how your Jupiter sign functions, all right? I'm gonna have to close out this chat so I can read these out. All right, minimize this too. All right, so Aries attracts the most good fortune when they take the lead, initiative, inspire, and demonstrate courage. Now, as we're going through these two guys, I want you guys to start to look at the patterns, meaning that as we switch from aspect to aspect and planet to planet, you're going to see that these things function the same. They just move around, okay? So Aries in the first house is going to function like Aries will function in the third house, right? The only difference is they have different characteristics of the houses, meaning the houses don't look the same, okay? So Aries attracts good fortune when they take the lead. The Aries is the leader. So it's going to always have a prescription of doing lead, initiating, inspiring, and displaying courage, okay? Taurus attracts most good fortune when they are charitable, generous, but discriminating and patient, okay? So meaning that when they are sharing their wealth. And if y'all know Taurus, like I know Taurus, they ain't trying to share much of nothing. Definitely not no food, okay? So when they are getting to the space of wanting to share, okay, is when they attract even more good fortune. Gemini attracts the most good fortune when they use their wit and ingenuousness to ease others with sincere curiosity. So meaning sparking the mind. So when they're in spaces when in social circles within groups, and you know they have the opportunity to forward the conversation of the minds, that's their job. Especially if you have Jupiter in that Gemini perspective. Because in doing that, what we're doing is we're giving some attention to our Gemini perspective. I mean, to our Jupiter perspective. When you do that, when you spark those particular energies, okay? Cancer. Cancer attracts the most good fortune when they are sympathetic and charitable, using their powers to comfort others. So like I told y'all, that's where my Jupiter sign is in Cancer, right? So the more I open my heart to people and allow them to come in and I show them everything I know, give them nurturing, right? So cooking for them, loving on them when I can, that right there gives a boost to my Jupiter perspectives, okay? Leo attracts most good fortune when they express magnanimity, inspire confidence, have dignity, and avoid egotism, all right? Because Leo has an issue with sometimes that perspective of leadership sometimes, and then in that, they can turn that around to be a not so good aspect when they are not focusing on the fact that they're supposed to come in and share their energy and be big in the space, but not be big from an ego perspective, okay? Let me see, did somebody say something? Where do I find it? Okay, what are you trying to find, Camise? Type it in the chat for me. All right, you mean how do you find it on your chart? It should be on your planets. So if you go down to your planets, look at your planets, and then you should be able to see. So you will see your sun, moon, Mars, sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, go all the way down on your chart, and then you'll see, it should tell you what your Jupiter sign is, Libra. All right. All right, so Virgo attracts the most good fortune when they are helpful, honest, orderly, and when they pay attention to details, because that's Virgo's job. Virgo's job is to do what? Be on top of the details, to break things down. So when you are using your Jupiter energy in Virgo to be in that space where you can allow yourself to balance things out, to make sure that the details are being paid attention to, and making sure that you're being honest in that, the boost in the Jupiter comes. All right. Libra attracts most good fortune when they are fair-minded, equal, compromising, and not a doormat. Now, I put that in there for a reason. And use their talents at mediating and also any type of marketing. So if you're good at marketing, using your energy for that. They're compromising, not a doormat, right? Because Libra has a tendency to overly give, okay? So because you have a tendency to overly give, that's not a good thing for your Jupiter. You're affecting your Jupiter in a bad way. The reason being is because you're giving more than you really have to give. The Jupiter perspective wants you to show up and be that balancer in that perspective and give within reason though, okay? So do what you gotta do, but don't be a doormat for any situation when it comes down to that Libra perspective of your Jupiter, okay? Scorpio attracts the most good fortune when they put their all into a project or undertaking and use their magnetic powers to heal others. So when they're just in that space. Sagittarius attracts the most good fortune when they are open-handed, generous, tolerant, and practice what they preach. So now the Jupiter in Sag is a real important placement. And what I mean is Jupiter's at home in Sag. So that means the energy is double in that perspective. So if you got Jupiter in Sag, then yeah, it's very important that you not only tap deeper into who you are when it comes down to your spiritual self, but then also making sure that you are practicing your spiritual practices so you can help others. Okay. Capricorn attract most good fortune when they are organized, and direct, meaning when they are like managerial, and doing those things, conduct themselves with integrity, are ethical and mature. And also I'll add to that, and also when they're not having heavy expectations on the energy and the things that they're giving out to. Capricorn is supposed to show up and do, but they're not supposed to have expectations on what it is that they're doing, okay? Because when you do that, that's when you knock the Jupiter down, right? You start to cause a little discomfort for it. Aquarius attracts most good fortune when they are tolerant and fair, inventive, impartial, and cooperative, meaning not being rebellious. Okay, the Aquarius aspect does what and what well? Rebel. Okay, so when it's not doing that, especially when it comes down to Jupiter, when it's learning how to come in and count everybody in that space as being, hey, I need this information, and being cooperative and working with people and sparking people and not triggering them, then you get that boost. Okay. Hold on, somebody trying to get in. Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Somebody was trying to get in class and they had to text me. Sorry, right now. All right. Where was I? Okay, I did Aquarius. Okay, Pisces. Okay, so Pisces attract most good fortune when they are charitable. When they are charitable, compassionate, looking out for the underdog, and giving generously. Okay, which sometimes that Pisces energy naturally does anyways, to come in and be charitable. All right. Now let's get into the Jupiter, your Jupiter sign in the houses. So now I want everybody to type in the Jupiter sign you just typed in. I want you to look at your houses, right? And I want you to see where you see that exact same aspect, and I want you to put what house is in. So for example, my Jupiter is in Cancer, but it's in my 12th house. So I have Jupiter in the 12th house is what I have, okay? So I want you guys to tell me where your Jupiter sign actually sits inside of your houses, okay? Tia, first house. Crystal, 10th house. Camille, 6th. Marcel, 9th. Come on, y'all. Okay, Drea, 10th and 11th. Okay, Pearl, 4th. Leslie, 8th. Takesha, 6th. You don't have it? You don't have your chart, Courtney? Courtney! Woo! If you don't hurry up, go run and get that doggone chart, because I know you got it. All right. So let's go into it. No, not Leo, love. You're looking for where Jupiter. I don't have the Leo in my house. Okay, I'll look at your chart and see. Okay, Naima, yours is in the 6th. Gaia's in the 2nd. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how that Jupiter energy that we just got through talking about, right? Now, how you're supposed to use it. So basically, I want you guys to look at this as homework, right? So the first homework thing is studying what Jupiter is. The second thing is studying what Mercury is, right? So then we go from that to studying what the Jupiter sign means, okay? Then the fourth thing is studying what your Jupiter sign means inside of your house, okay? So you get it? You see the process? This is the work that you have to do to understand what your prescription for this month is, what you need to be working on, and how you need to be working on it. So when people tell me they bored, they ain't got nothing to do, I'm like, how is that possible? It's so much shit to do about you. There ain't no way you should not have anything to do, okay? So let's talk about how now you're going to use this Jupiter energy, or how you already may currently use this Jupiter energy, all right? I'm going to move this right chat. I'm going to close the chat out for a minute. All right. So your Jupiter's in the first house, generous, optimistic, cheerful, confident, well-intentioned, with good vitality, confidence. You are a good leader. Why? Because Aries is also the ruler of that house, right? So again, it doesn't change. So I'm telling y'all to look at the patterns. Look at what I mean when I say astrology is nothing but a pattern showing you how you are functioning. So the more you know your patterns, the less you are subjected to emotional upsets. That's the purpose of looking at this. Or when you can see when things come into your life, you'll know, oh, I need to go and work on my Jupiter a little bit, okay? So if you're being triggered this month by anything, you need to work on your Jupiter. You need to work on how you're expanding inside of the things that you already think, the things that you have been thinking, the stuff that you think you know, challenge those ideas, all right? Second house. If your Jupiter's in the second house, the ability to be financial successful, all right? Money comes to you and you probably ain't never missed a meal in your life. So you ain't got no stress. What you stressing about? Go get your shit together. Third house, all right? Psychological, optimistic, conventional, considerate, strong intuition, expanded and broadened mind, okay? So when it comes down to that, again, because we're talking about what? Gemini, right? So that's that Gemini third house perspective. So as you now bringing the Jupiter into the third house mental mind perspective, all right? Fourth house, Gemini in the fourth, generous, self-confident, hospitable, patriotic. Prosperity usually increases in later years, comforts at home. Why? Because the fourth house is the ruler of Cancer. So it's all about the home. It's all about being comfortable, all right? That prosperity usually increases in later years because the first few years of Cancer energy, no matter where it is spending trying to learn what the feeling is, right? Because sometimes the intensity of things are so intense that it spends time escaping or not wanting to be with people. So it spends a lot of time at home or in the bed. Things that correlate to home is usually where Cancer finds itself escaping to, especially when it's not comfortable. So dealing with this Jupiter perspective is about getting self-confident, right? And get into the space you need to get into, because when you get there, the prosperity starts to roll, all right? Fifth house, many opportunities for romance, dating, activities involving children or teaching. The fifth house is the ruler of the Leo perspective. Leo perspective is dealing with on the stage, or also dealing with children or teaching children. Okay, so opportunities can be around those places. Sixth house, got Jupiter in the sixth. Good health is there. You tend to be helpful to others or want to be helpful to others. You're a dependable worker. You inspire cooperation and goodwill. Because why? Sixth house is Virgo energy. All right. So that's Virgo and Jupiter having a conversation about how you're going to not only inspire, but how you're going to now work with other people to get them on what it is that you know. All right. Seventh house, benefits, opportunities, and wealth. Sometimes it comes from marriage or partnership. So it don't mean you necessarily ain't gonna get no money until you get into a partnership or get into a marriage. It just means that you tend to be more motivated when you have partnerships or that you're in marriages, okay? Which allows that Jupiter energy to flow a little bit more, all right? But when you're seeking these partnerships, right, make sure that you're seeking partnerships that not just about, okay, they seem like they can come in and help you, but using this partnership because it's going to expand you. You got to remember that Jupiter is about expanding the mind. So relationships that help you to expand what it is that you're seeing, okay? Eighth house, optimistic and you have faith in your fellow man. Okay, so financial gain through marriage, partnerships, or inheritance. That has a lot to do with that Scorpio energy, and the Scorpio energy tends to deal with other people's money anyway. Okay, so anytime we're dealing with the Scorpio house, which is what the eighth house is going to be dealing with financial gain through it coming from somewhere else. Okay, not to mean again that you're not going to have your own bags, boo. I'm just saying you're going to get some more bags. You're going to come in from energy that has to do with partnerships, or more than likely it's probably inheritance, right? Because Scorpio also deals with death. And because it deals with death, it also deals with the opportunity of like insurance policies, things such as that. Okay. Ninth house, if you're Jupiter into the ninth, you're optimistic, tolerant, broad-minded, considerate, maybe a little bit fanciful, but prophetic, strong intuition and vivid dreams. Why? Because Jupiter in the ninth is Sag in the ninth. Sag rules the ninth house. So again, remember I told y'all earlier, you have Jupiter in Sag that's already doubled up. Well, now you have Jupiter in Sag, and now it's in the ninth house. It's tripled. It's all this energy, right? It's good energy, but it's just a lot. It's a lot to really kind of feel, especially when it comes down to your dreams, right? And when it comes down to the things that you may psychically in tune see when you're kind of really into your spiritual practices. All right, 10th house, opportunity, expansion, as well as success and honor to you in your profession and your community. 10th house is the area of dealing with, dealing with the community, or dealing with what you do for the social community. It's corporations, right? It's all those things, but it's also ruled by this Capricorn energy, which is structure. And when we're talking about structure, we are talking about how we, what we put in place. So this Jupiter energy has everything to do with expanding in the structure, right? The places where you have the most structure. 11th house is have lots of friends, because it's the Aquarius house, right? So have lots of friends who are willing to do almost anything for you. You do almost anything for them, okay? But you're very knowledgeable and idealistic. And that's because the 11th house is the house of Aquarius house. So any energy in there is going to deal with social media, social energy. We're in the age of Aquarius, so everything is about this house. Everything is about the 11th perspective of us dealing with the social energy, okay? 12th house, you got that. It's philanthropy, great faith in future. Almost feeling like you have ancestors or angels around you all the time in dealing with what you have to deal with. Because you are the Jupiter in the 12th house is also creating a lot of wealth for family too. Like, so for example, I have Jupiter in the 12th. So I know a lot of the stuff that we're doing is also to break a lot of the things that the DNA before you may have done, right? So because of that, you have the ancestors' assistance to do whatever you need to do, okay? Now, because of that, you may spend a lot of time in the beginning feeling like your family is your issue, or feeling like everything that you have to deal with is because your family hates you, but it's not the case. It's just because you're supposed to be working on family issues or working on family things. You may deal with that, but understand that your ancestors are there to help you. And because of that, you may have to wait a little bit longer for your success to happen. What I mean is, after you come out your 20s into your 30s, you got a good sense of how to use this Jupiter energy, and it starts to come into place. I'm 41 and my Jupiter's popping. Okay, so if you got that in the 12th and you feel like you're struggling a little bit in your finances or struggling in your career, know that it's coming. Just keep working on the family dynamics and breaking the things you need to break. All right. All right, now let's talk about this energy in the 9th house, right? Because we got Jupiter, which deals with Sag, right? And then we got Jupiter in the houses, which is also Sag energy traveling. But then we got the whole 9th house perspective, which is nothing but Sag energy. So now it's about what do you have in the 9th house. I want everybody to look at your chart again, right? And tell me what sign that you have in your 9th house. If you want to figure out which house is the 9th house, the very first letter that you see on the right side, if you're looking at your Cafe Astrology chart, you have your Placidus. And at the top of it, you'll see that that means 1. That's Roman numeral 1. And count all the way down till you get down to your 9th house. And I want you to write out the sign that you have there, okay? Because that's also your homework for how to be able to clearly use all of this energy, okay? So let's see what y'all saying over here. All right, I see. Okay. Pisces in the ninth. I see Sag in the ninth. I see Aquarius. I see Taurus. I see Capricorn. I see Libra. I see Taurus. I see Sag. Okay, come on. Where the rest of my answers at? Where is my answers? All right, go and look and make sure you look at the ninth, count down. So one, whatever you see in that first placement, just count all the way down till you get to 9, okay? All right, I'll let y'all go ahead and do that. I'll come back to that. I'm gonna come back too, so don't know that you have to put it in there. All right, so now anytime we're talking about ninth house, we're talking about philosophy and religion, or AKA your spiritual practices. All right, so in this space, this is how you're kind of using the energy already. Now, when we get back to the end, when I told y'all that I want to come and talk about how to develop your spiritual practice, a lot of that is so that you can be able to balance out your ninth house energy. Okay, Marcel, I see your Virgo. All right, so if you got Aries in the ninth, optimistic attitude, feel like you can get anything done. Why? Because Aries is a pioneer, right? It's the leader. It has to. Who else gonna motivate the Aries? Nobody. Nobody knows how to motivate the Aries aspect. Wherever it shows up, wherever you have Aries, if you're expecting any type of motivation in that space, stop it. Okay. All you're gonna get is the baby look. They look at you like you don't really know nothing. It's your job to pull that out. That's what the pioneer is in that, okay? So when it comes down to the philosophies in your ninth perspective, challenging the ideas of what you have and getting things done around how it is that you process your mind and how you process information, you're not gonna be able to get that from anybody. You gotta go and find it, okay? Go and look for it, but you can get it done. All right, so Taurus in the ninth, you're traditional. So the chances are you breaking free from a lot of the philosophies that you've been raised with is very slim. Okay, you can, especially when you know it's not working for you. But the chances are not really. The reason being is because the Taurus in the ninth is very traditional. So it is, tends to want to keep what is being given. All right. Gemini in the same place, logical, thinking through, asking about the facts. The Gemini is going to be the one that's going to probe every energy they possibly can about the philosophies, okay? Or thinking about how that whole energy, the belief system kind of comes in. Why? Because Gemini is the mind. And Gemini is also the polar opposite to Sagittarius. So it wants to trigger the Sagittarius energy anyway for the conversation. It wants to have the intellectual spark, all right? So it's job to come through and challenge whatever that energy is when it comes down to philosophies and religion and psychology and vision and all those things, all right? Cancer. Cancer has everything to do with the emotions, all right, which you are influenced by those things. You're following your feelings. So a lot of things on the philosophies don't necessarily have to do with education as it has to do with how this feels inside of your body, all right? That's how the Cancer moves in the ninth. It makes sure that it's feeling it. Okay, I feel good. Okay, this feels like it's right, so let me go with that, which is really good because Cancer is cardinal or intuitive. And so because it is that way, it's going to get a lot out of following that. But the other side of that perspective is sometimes Cancer can tend to jump too quick, right? Because of the feelings. It feels good, so let me go with it. So sometimes the ideas of the mind or falling for things, right, has a lot to do with the fact that you are feeling this and not necessarily going deep as you possibly can and realize that the emotions that you have, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent, is what's preventing you from going into a deeper psychological space inside of your vibration, all right? Okay, Leo, strong, natural, confident person, love to learn and travel. So during this perspective, when we're talking about the philosophies, right, the Leo is learning by its confidence. So as long as you are in your confidence, if you're not feeling confident, you ain't gonna have really good philosophy. You're gonna be all like talking against people hurting your heart, they broke your heart, they did something. You become the victim. You become the victim of life when you don't realize that your philosophy surrounding your own self-care and your own heart is really important when it comes down to how it is that you become confident. And from that, you learn that if you travel and get into the spaces of doing that, you tend to learn more about who you really are, all right? Virgo perspective, logical and belief, studies various cultures. Now, Virgo is really good in this place because Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, so it's also the mind too. So when it comes down to beliefs, the Virgo ain't necessarily gonna really get into the emotions of it. It wanna see the logic. So if you got a book Okay, you can break it down to me, let me see it, then I'll be able to look at it. Why? Because as a Virgo, energy is going to study the various cultures anyway. It wants to know all there is to know about religion and spirituality. Okay, and because of that is the case, that's what it means about logical in your beliefs. You tend to, believe what you want to believe in. Those things may change based on what it is that you're studying. All right, Libra. Equality, fairness, justice, want to treat people well. So if y'all notice, every time I said anything about Libra, I said those same words: equality, fairness, justice, relationships. Balance of this, balance of that, right? It's the same thing. So when it comes down to philosophies of the mind, Libra, or whoever have Libra in your ninth house, is the same thing. It's having equality, fairness, justice, making sure that you're treating people well, especially your relationships, doing what you would want to receive in your relationship, doing those things, but not going overboard. Why? Because going overboard is not going to render you the result that you want. That part of the Libra is where you're having to really understand that you need balance. All right. Scorpio, mysteries of life, research and beliefs that may be taboo or dark. So the occult, Scorpio, in the ninth, all right, is the stuff that you're going to go for, the witchy stuff. You want to see what's real, right? Not what the stuff that you think or what they tell you is real. You're going to really go and look for it. So subjects like Satanism, all right, that's what a Scorpio in the ninth will go and look up. Why? Not because they want to worship Satan, but because they want to know what it is. Scorpios don't like being in a position where there's conversation going on and they don't know nothing about it. So because of that, they're going to make sure that they do. So if you got Scorpio in that perspective, that's how you show up, all right? All right, Saturn the ninth, expansion of the mind in life, meaning like how your whole mind then plays into how you live your life, experience of the world or what the world looks like for you and how you experience the world, what the world does back to you, and always looking for more from life. So understand that Sagittarius in the ninth is the same thing I said about having Jupiter in the ninth house, right? You stacked up. You got a lot of Sagittarius energy that's all about the mind. So that means you're constantly thinking, you're constantly searching. I almost feel never satisfied when it comes down to researching most things, when it comes down to mind expansion, right? And that's only because that Sagittarius energy, when you get into the spaces of researching, you got to also step away from that. You can't go so far to where you disconnect from the physical, right? Because that can happen when you start to dig deep into certain things, especially the occult, because the Sagittarius energy will also go into spaces that may be taboo or dark, right? But when you're searching for those things, you got to come out of there. Because if you stay in there, what you do is you disconnect in such a way to where you're no longer physical. And again, it's the reason why Sag is both spiritual and it's physical, or why it's spiritual and ratchet, because you got to keep the feeling going, got to stay into the body. All right. Capricorn, beliefs are conventional and they're going to reject any far-fetched ideas unless you got some facts and figures. Why? Because Capricorn, again, is structure. So what am I changing for? I don't need to change. According to me, this structure works. And that's how Capricorn in the ninth feels. What I got going on, or maybe what I wind up creating for myself, right? Because Capricorn energy, no matter where it shows up, tend to have a disconnect from one or both parents. So they tend to start to create things for themselves, which is a form of structure that they need to stay balanced inside of. So once they get that, it's hard to break them out of it unless you have some type of evidence that something else that you got for them is going to work. All right. Aquarius energy. Somebody calling in. Aquarius energy says benefits, unconventional, open to different beliefs, people who will challenge your belief system. So Aquarius, again, is about that social thing, right? So some of the beliefs of the Aquarius energy is very unconventional. I mean, like, it's not going to be normal things. They may talk about, the Anunnaki. Now, I know I'm kind of probably speaking some stuff y'all don't know about, but, there's a lot of different types of beliefs, of different beings that live in this realm of reality, right? So the Aquarius is going to go and challenge those things, going to go and see, what that is. And they're open to that, right? And they also want people around them that's going to remind them that they need to do this, or that they need to be challenged on what it is that they do believe, because if it's more out there, the Aquarius energy wants to know it. Pisces, beliefs are very important. They apply them daily. They almost to the point where it's like they are fiercely spiritual or religious. You know what I'm saying? Fierce is the better word that I could use, but almost like OCD a little bit on their spiritual and religious practice. And it's because they know that to be the way to solve problems. Or what I mean is they know to go to their, old ways, meaning like if you got any grandparents still living, and you've been fortunate enough to be around when they got some type of problem going on or some issue going on with a bill, and they start singing them old hymns and stuff like that. That's what I mean about fiercely spiritual or religious. They do those hymns because those hymns remind them at a time where they didn't have to worry, or a time when God got it all. All right. So having those spiritual practices or having those belief systems is really important to a Pisces, because Pisces is the last energy. It's the old man or the old woman. All right. Moving on. All right, going into the Mercury. All right, really quick. What's your Mercury sign? So everybody type in what your Mercury energy is. The reason why this is important is because after everything we just talked about, those are the ways in which you are going to get your money, the way you're going to get your luck, your opportunities, your bags, the stuff that you need to come in during this cycle. And keep in mind, I said that we have a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction on the 21st. So the reason why this energy is more important than it's been any other time in your life is because it ain't been seen since the 1600s. I didn't say that wrong. I said that right, the 1600s. So now knowing what you know about your Jupiter energy, knowing what you know about your vibration, what types of conversations are you having with yourself? Because that's what Mercury rules, your language, right? And how you either say positive or negative things, right? Is what style of communication you use. How you make decisions, how you pick up, process, absorb, and exchange information, right? All of that is Mercury information. So when you look at what your Mercury sign is, that's how you're currently communicating, and also how you're absorbing certain things, okay? How you criticize, how you verbally interact, how you reason things out. All that stuff is Mercury energy. You need to know what your Mercury energy is and study your Mercury energy, because what you are currently saying right now, even as y'all are listening to me, everything that's going on in your head right now is because you and Mercury put it there. All right. So whether you are in a happy space today or you pissed off today, whatever the case may be, guys, you and Mercury put it there because it's how you're communicating with yourself. And the reason why that's important is because your communication with self is also your communication with the universe. So meaning this is how you're now casting spells. You cast spells by what you say, whether it's in your mind or whether it come out your mouth. Don't matter. You still getting it, okay? So if you have an Aries, did everybody type in? Come on, I know I got some more. Wait, where we at? All right, I don't know where we said tonight. I don't know what's what because y'all didn't tell me where. I just see a lot of aspects, so I'm gonna just guess. All right, so I'm gonna say that Naima, yours is Aquarius, Leslie, Sag, Courtney, Pisces, Aquarius, Gemini, okay, Aqua, Mercury, thank you, Aquarius, Ronell, Capricorn, Mystique, Pisces, okay, Gaia, Sag, great, all right, so let's talk about now what you got going on in your head, all right, or how you currently use your Mercury energy, all right, so Aries, you're quick thinkers, all right, direct and raw, motivating and fun. Now that direct and raw is, you gotta understand that Aries is the baby. So when an Aries comes into the play, let's just think about Aries for a baby perspective. When they come in the room, if you got a booger on your nose, a baby ain't gonna say, ooh, get a tissue and wipe that. No, a baby gonna say, ooh, you got a booger on your nose, okay? That's the Aries energy in the room, all right? So that's what I mean when I say direct and raw. But they are very quick to think, right? So when they on top of it, they're in that space, and because they are babies or the baby energy, it's very motivating and fun. So a lot of what's going on in the mind is those things, being quick, wanting to do stuff right now, right? Wanting to tell the truth or say it in a raw type of way. But you got to be mindful, Aries and Mercury Aries, because being direct and raw is good, but you got to know when to say it and when not. All right. Now this is the part where even though you are the baby aspect, you ain't a baby. You are an adult. And because you are an adult, understand that being direct and raw is your nature, but being direct and raw in a way that is very triggering, right? Because Aries is also Mars energy. So being very triggering is not going to benefit you well. All right. So learn how it is that you criticize or how you use that Aries energy. Is really good, but it can also be a detriment. Taurus, same way. Okay. Potters, a slow decision, decisive, but also stubborn on certain, opinions. So what I mean by that is Mercury energy, when it comes in, is gonna process it out a little bit. So it ain't gonna it's not quick like Aries to make a decision. It's the bull, right? And so sometimes it's slow to do that. But once it does make a decision, that's the decision that Taurus is gonna stand on, and it's not gonna move. That's what I mean about the stubborn opinions. So meaning like it's certain things the Taurus need to make sure that you are challenging yourself when it comes down to how you think. Okay, it don't matter to take you a long time to process it. Just know that you need to process it, because a lot of things that may be going on, maybe because you just stubborn to move, right? Taurus get a lot of information that they know they need to move on, but sometimes they can be lazy, right? They can be unmotivated by certain things. I like to use that word versus saying lazy, but unmotivated by certain things. So get into the seat of understanding that you can take your time to make a decision, right? But don't be stubborn about the things. Give more information. Gemini is one of my favorites, because Gemini, of course, is ruled by Mercury. So if you got a Mercury Gemini, you got a good place. All right. So Gemini is quick-witted, scattered, eclectic interest, facts, and knowledge. Now, the scattered part of it, right? The scattered part is because the fact that it is Mercury, like it is ruled by Mercury, it could be a lot going on that Gemini wants to go and test all this stuff out. So while it's testing all this stuff out, sometimes it could get scattered, meaning like people be like, well, I don't really know if you're really here with me. You can feel distant. You're feeling distant because you're processing a lot in the mind, thinking about a lot of stuff in your head. And being that's the case, you're going on a knowledge, traveling space of knowledge, right? And facts. And because of that, you can seem to be all over the place. All right. Okay. Cancer. Communicate with feeling, sensitive, withdrawn, and reflective. All right. So again, the whole Cancer's perspective is feeling. The key words for Cancer is I feel. And because of that, it can be sensitive. It can be withdrawn and reflective. So a lot of the energy and ways in which that Mercury sign shows up is in that space, right? Communicating with your feelings. Talking about, oh, I feel, or using the keywords, I feel. Now, all these signs have keywords. So if you start taking the notice to the vibrations that come out of you, when you say stuff like, I know, you talking about Aquarius. Or you talking about, I feel, you talking about your Cancer perspective. Or like I said earlier, I perceive. When you use that word perceive, you're now into your Sagittarius conversation. All of these things are conversations that's going on. But we all have different conversations. The more you know where your aspects are, the more you start to see clearly what that conversation is. All right. Leo, speak with authority, attached to opinions, prideful beliefs. So a lot of the energy in dealing with the Leo perspective is, again, being able to be on the stage or being in front, and also disconnecting from how people feel about that. One of the issues that Leo energy has to deal with sometimes is being judged, or energy coming towards it when it comes down to, I don't know, like a level of hate almost, right? And it's not necessarily that people are really hating on the Leo perspective. It's more so that the fact that the Leo's job is to show up and show out. So if I'm uncomfortable in my courage to show up and show out, I may hate a little bit, right? But the Leo perspective ain't supposed to worry about that. What you're supposed to do is show up anyway. And if you see somebody hating on you, be like, come on, girl, come on, dude, let me show you what to do. That's what I mean about being very Obama-ish when it comes down to your Leo perspective, all right? Virgo, keep tracks of all details. I said that about Virgo before. High strung with order, practical matters. That's because Virgo is the detail-oriented one. All right. So in your communication, you still doing that. You still want all the details. Sis, tell me everything you about to do before I do it. Right. This is your communication. Libra, pleasing and diplomatic. Equality in the intellect, kind and fair. Okay, so making sure that your conversation ain't one-sided. And that's why the Libra will go back and forth for a while, trying to figure out how this thing plays, because the Libra tends to be in this conversation, it tends to be already equal and fair in that, wanting to hear all sides. Okay, and sometimes Libras, Mercury Libras are known to be two-faced. You know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because they can tend to be diplomatic. They want to come in and bring the balance to what's going on, but that's not necessarily how it's perceived. All right. Scorpio, heart of any matter, fearless, delving into the depths, observation skills. Scorpio wants to know what is going on. Okay, so they gonna be the probers. They gonna be the ones that's watching. Let me see what's happening over here. What's going on, right? Because from that, it's going to watch and develop its own conversation. That's what it wants to go in depth with somebody who they know is not afraid to go deep. So that's what it's looking for. It's looking for deep people or deep things that it can kind of experience. Sagittarius, freedom of thought, optimistic, forward-looking manner. So understand that when Sag is in this whole perspective of Mercury, it's the polar opposite to Gemini, right? So it's still thought. But now it's about the freedom of it, okay? Meaning expanding, getting outside of just what you think, adding some other stuff in there, which may require you to have to go and travel or learn some more about what you think you know, all right? Capricorn, speaking right in a slow and methodical manner, structure and order. All Capricorn is ever worried about is structure and order. That's what it wants, all right? So it's speaking now in that. That means your Mercury energy is going to make sure that structure is very important to you. Aquarius, unconventional, self-expressive, breaking the rules, aka rebel, and exposing the biases. So that's why Aquarius energy like having people around them that challenge their own minds, because they don't want biased energy. They don't want it one-sided. Understanding this age of Aquarius is about everybody being included, right? In order for everybody to be included, the way I think is just as important as the way that you think, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Aquarius energy. It wants all the energy to come in. Let's break the rules so we can see who people really are, all right? Pisces, gentle communicators, soft touch, emotions and feelings. So the emotions of the Mercury sign of Pisces is about stay with me, be here with me. Let me nurture you so you'll always be here. The issue with that sometimes can be the attachment factors, okay? So the Mercury Pisces sometimes can be talking about being abandoned or having abandonment energy, all right? It's because it feels that it's giving its energy away. And sometimes it can be giving it too much, especially with time. Like that Mercury and Pisces, oh, they're going to talk forever, yo. But they're trying to help people sometimes, right? To get themselves together. All right. So let's get into the medical part of it. This is my fave, right? It's my fave because my background, if y'all don't know, is in microbiology. I'm actually a microbiologist. I did it for like 10 or 11 years. I worked in the areas of blood bank, and microbiology was like my favorite two areas to work, but I was actually a generalist, meaning I did everything. So when you go to a doctor and they draw your blood and they ask you to shit in the cup or piss in the cup, whatever body fluids the doctor gathers from you, they send it to Gigi, right? And so what Gigi do, right, having all of my Virgo energy that I have, I sit and I dissect and break down everything that's going on inside of your body. And then I tell the doctor what I found. And when I tell him that, he's like, oh, okay, well, you got this liver condition, you got this particular issue, we're going to give you a prescription for it. See, that's why I started having a problem. Because prescriptions are not ways of healing, okay? That's a way of still killing you. So I got out of the medical industry, and I was very frustrated for a very long time because I felt like, why did I go into there? Like that was a waste of time and money. But now, since I realized now how closely connected that all this shit is pretty much to astrology, like pretty much all of it is just astrology, like broken down in multiple different ways, then now I also see that there is also a medical astrology. So me going on the journey of medical before, I could still use it. So it's great. It's really good to me. I feel really at home in medical astrology. So when we're talking about the Sagittarius and Gemini axis, we're talking about respiratory. So this particular month, watch your lungs, okay? So for all you smokers and people who eat a lot of mucousy types of foods, I'm not here to check you on your food, and I'm not here to check you on your smoking. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be affected this month, and to tell you also that it'll be really good if you start to boost your immune system this month with things that can kind of clear out those areas of your body, especially when it comes down to your respiratory tract, okay? Now, when I send you guys a playback, I'm gonna send you guys some links of some things that I do for myself. So I mean, like every season that I change my food, and I also change my herbs, and I change the type of things that give a boost to the areas of my body that need it. So because this whole energy is about the lungs or the respiratory axis, right? I'm doing herbs that's going to boost my immunity when it comes down to my lungs. The number one herb that I use is Osha, okay? OSHA, Osha root. I put it in the chat. Osha root, you can get it as a tincture, you can get it as a bark or a root, and you can literally put it into some organic grain alcohol. You can make your own tincture if you want to, or you can just take it and boil it into some tea and drink it. Osha root cleanse out the ear, nose, and throat. Okay, so now if you look at my thing when I just got on here, I got the Sagittarius Gemini forms the respiratory axis. Body parts: lungs, nose, respiratory tract, diaphragm, rib cage, arms, hands, and liver. So if I say do Osha root, and Osha do ear, nose, and throat, right? And it also affects your lungs. That means it's completely giving your respiratory tract a boost. All right, so go and get you some doggone Osha root, and always have you some Osha root, especially if you're a person know that you are really heavy on mucus laden foods. Another boost to your lungs, or a way of getting your liver clean, is also doing sea moss. Okay, so get you some sea moss. I actually make my own sea moss from scratch or whatever. I would be willing to make you guys some sea moss. If you want to order some, let me know. I'll make you some, because sea moss goes in and it completely cleans the mucus out of the body. Okay, so using a combination of just those two, I got a whole list of them. You can do more key limes. Key limes is a real good acid that helps not only give you all your electrolytes, but it burns too the cholesterol, the fats is in the cholesterol, so that's good. It's a whole lot of different things you can do, but make sure that you're targeting your lungs, your liver. Do a liver detox if you can, okay, over this break. The reason being is because the numbers are going to go up when it comes down to dealing with COVID. All right. The reason why they're going to go up is because they're comparing COVID numbers with the normal flu season. But as you can see, this is the reason why we even have a cold and flu season in the first place, because a lot of people are out of balance when it comes down to their Jupiter and their Mercury perspectives. And when you get out of balance, what winds up happening is you have more mucus in the body. You got more mucus in the body, then your immune system is now compromised. Right? But if you're doing things to make sure that when the sad season comes in, you start to detox the liver, right? So that means limiting the amount of alcohol that you take in. I'm not telling y'all to quit drinking. Limiting the amount of alcohol, or if you are going to drink alcohol, drinking alcohols that's a little bit more clean, meaning it's more top shelf type stuff, right? Drinking your tequilas that are 100% agave, right? Like these particular things versus just getting you some regular old Taki vodka. I don't even know if they make it no more, but you know, like these particular things. Why? Because more than any time of the year, your lungs, your nose, your throat, your respiratory tract is really, really important, because this is the medical axis of Sagittarius and Gemini, all right? The combination of these axes, right, both being mutable, gives them an emphasis on the respiratory condition, particularly of the sensitive or allergic nature. So if you know you're prone to more allergic reactions or having any type of allergic response to certain foods and certain things, then this may be the month that you know you need to detox and cleanse. Why? Because the moment you have an allergic reaction, it's going to start a whole wave of other stuff starting to come in. All right. And if we want to keep our immunity up, we want to make sure that we're doing more things to keep our bodies and our stuff in alignment. Okay. Gemini is a sign that's most pertinent to respiratory disorders, whereas the Sagittarius has a mild or less specific respiratory predisposition. And what that means is that the Gemini perspective is mostly dealing with the whole lungs energy, right? But the liver is what the Sagittarius energy directly deals with. But usually we start to have more respiratory issues, asthma, bronchitis, colds, respiratory infections, when your liver is nasty. When you've been eating the wrong foods for too many days, you eat too much cheese, go and try to eat pizza for 7 days straight and see, don't you start to sneeze or feel like you coughing. The reason being is because you're not giving your body the adequate amount of time to be able to go ahead and clear out all the stuff that you've already eaten. Okay, and when you do that, that liver being out of whack, having too much mucus in the liver, then starts to cause the issue into the lungs and having the asthma. So people who are prone to asthma or prone to any type of breathing, bronchitis, this is the month that you need to make sure every month that you're staying on top of your respiratory things, the things that you need to do for your body. All right. All right. Oh, goodness. Oh. All right. with Gemini and Sag emphasize the entire respiratory tract from nose to lungs, okay, is an area of great sensitivity that can easily be upset by a multitude of environmental triggers, okay? One of the main environmental triggers is being around toxic people, all right? I'm gonna tell you why that's a huge thing, and we're finna get ready to go and talk about this whole full moon energy thing, so we're gonna get into it, but toxic people right now is real important for the Sag energy because it's the mind, right? Meaning the Sagittarius is emphasizing more so what's coming into the mind. Gemini is focused on what you're talking about, what's coming into the mind. So if you're around toxic energy around this time period, you are more prone to get colds and flus and deal with bronchitis and rhinitis and all these different respiratory issues. Why? Because you are taking in stuff that is not in agreement with your energy. So if you start to see that your vibration, that you got energy around, this is a good time period to do some cleansing of your social circles. Why? Because we're getting ready to move into this whole Jupiter energy and dealing with Aquarius. Aquarius is social, okay? Now let's talk about a little bit about this full moon, okay? Because it was a good one. It was a heavy one, but it was a good one compared to what the rest of this month is going to be. If you can just notice the Scorpio season was rough too. Not rough in a bad way, rough in a way of where is this coming from, right? So now we're going to continue that on until the end of this year. The end of this year, your job is to detox your mind, okay? Or as Gemini the full moon say, right? Focus on how you are taking in information, or the whole eclipse energy was about exchange of information, right? From the election and whether or not, the ballots was real or fake, or coronavirus, whether or not it's real or fake. It's just been a whole lot of stuff, that's been this back and forth energy, or if this real or not. I mean, we could just think of Trump himself as a Gemini, okay? So just a whole back and forth energy of Gemini Sag. We've been dealing with that as we was coming towards the summer months, right? Because right now we're literally in that axis. We just shift from the Capricorn Cancer axis into the Gemini and Sag axis. So what I mean is you ain't just dealing with this for this month. You're gonna be dealing with this energy for a while, okay? So get used to your Sag aspects, get used to your Gemini aspects, get used to Jupiter, get used to Aquarius energy, get used to a lot of this energy, because right now the mind is going to be challenged in such a way that it's going to make you kind of feel a little bit like schizo in your head. Like, what the hell? I thought I was solid on this. The reason being is because some of that stuff that you thought you were solid on, it's been distorted, okay? Eclipse and Gemini make us privy to all the ways data can get distorted. Yeah, we got social media. Yeah, we got Wikipedia. Yeah, we got Google. But is all the information on Google correct? Don't they just let anybody go on there and create stuff sometimes? How do we know what we're reading is really real, right? That's the challenges that's coming into your mind now. The reason why this happening is because there's an increased speed of information that's happening right now in the world, this exchange, right? We got all these new social media things are starting to pop up. All of a sudden, everybody's so concerned with what we do virtually. Whereas a couple of years ago, nobody cared about the virtual reality as much as we care about it now. That's because the exchange of information is quicker, right? Your cell phones, right? Think about where you were in high school. I had a beeper. Think about how slow information was being exchanged then, right? Compared to now. A lot of that is because it's time for us to really start double checking our sources. And what I mean by that, I don't mean going to Google search another article. I mean, in here you got sources. You got ancestors, you got DNA, you got things that have been left for you that you are not researching and tapping into, that's making you feel like you don't know anything, but you know everything. And the only reason why you feel that way is because you put yourself into a space to where you're trusting the information of what everybody else is saying, because you tell yourself you don't really know. But the truth is you do know. Everything has been written on the inside of your soul. You got everything that you need. So now it's time to double check the stuff that you are allowing yourself to believe. And the reason being is because if you take a part in it, if you say, well, yes, I agree with that, and you're not sure, you just added your vibration to it. You just added your mind to it, right? So a lot of this stuff that's coming up we're adding our energy to it and not realizing that we're creating contracts with people, places, and things, all because you don't know. So now it's time to search more than any time. It's time to search the information that you know so you can start weeding out the information that you've been taught from your childhood coming up into this point, the things that you've been given, all that stuff. Challenge it all. Sagittarius wants you to challenge it all. And if you have to go and travel to go and get some of this information, like I'm getting ready to do a mound tour so that I can do some more digging into my native side of my life. I don't want to go and read anymore. I'm tired of Googling what happened when it comes down to my tribes. I don't want that. I'm gonna go and find it myself, because Sag tells me if I do go and do that, I'm guaranteed to get the information that I'm looking for. So you don't have to keep running into sources that you're not sure about. You're the only source that you need, okay? On top of that, we had the square Neptune that was dealing with this eclipse as well, which has a lot to do with fuzzy boundaries or tall tales or lying or hazy accounts to offer. And what that means is that people just, being great at storytelling, right? They're blowing shit up. They all these, stories out here. I'm just saying, you need to go and research a little bit more. I'm not saying they lying, but I ain't saying they telling the truth either, okay? That's because we're in a time period where that is okay. It's a time period where I could just, make up a story about what's really going on, and it don't have to be real, right? And if you go and challenge it, that's the only way that you're gonna really know. All right. So this is a superb, energy that we're in right now for the storytelling of your life. And what I mean by that is you can rewrite your story. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care what you think. What's the reason why you happened to you. You can change that, because again, Sagittarius and Gemini is the mind. So this is about programming and reprogramming, right? And the reason why this is so important about the programming that you're allowing yourself to take in, what's coming in and what you're allowing yourself to believe in, is because this great conjunction that we're having on the solstice on the 21st is a great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in dealing with Aquarius, right? And in dealing with that, let me just grab this. I made some little extra notes. The reason why that energy is so important, so even though we have a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn like every 20 years, this particular one that we're having though, the last time this particular type of Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happened was 1623, okay? That was 14 years after Galileo created his telescope. All right, so think about that. Think about how wide that energy is. And I know you're probably saying, well, Gigi, if it happens every 20 years, then why is this one so far off? Because if you look at the picture on the screen, Jupiter and Saturn are coming within 0.1 degree of each other. Did y'all hear what I said? 0.1. I didn't say 1 degree or 5 degrees. I said 0.1. So they're literally going to be looking like they're stacked on top of each other. So that closeness, right? And it's going to be a whole week that this is happening, meaning like they're going to be coming together where they get really, really close. But when they get to that real super close degree, which is supposed to be December 21st at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be visible in the daytime. All you need is a pair of binoculars, or you can get you a backyard telescope and you can literally see this, because this ain't something you're going to see again, not in your lifetime, okay? Maybe your grandkids or your great-grandkids will see it, but you won't get a chance to see how close this energy is. But I want y'all to think about, well, if that's the case, what does this mean? Well, it's happening on the solstice, which we know also has a lot to do with that cross, right? This cross that we was told that Jesus died on so many years ago, right? This cross has a lot to do with your axis between what? The winter and the fall. So this energy that you're releasing within yourself. It's marking the beginning of a huge cycle that's going to last some hundreds of years, y'all. So what you're feeling it for a reason. You're not crazy. You're not, all over the place, which you may be all over the place. It's for a reason. Get out the stuff that needs to get out, because anything, right, that's depleting your energy right now, eliminate it. Anything that's in your spiritual system that you are just giving your energy to, but it's not feeding you, get rid of it. Why? Because if you go into the cycle of this, giving your energy to things that is not feeding you, you're going to be locked into this shit for hundreds of years. And the reason why I'm saying you're going to be locked into it for hundreds of years, because, baby, you are creating the next 3 generations of your family DNA. You're creating this, right? And because you're creating this, it's important that the things that was put in your mind that you do not vibrate with and is not yours, that you got to get rid of it, okay? The main thing that you got to get rid of, though, more than anything, is the way that you talk to yourself. The words that you say out of your mouth, okay? Speaking in any way that diminishes your goals, your dreams, your values, the things that you know that are for you, the things that you want to create for your life. If you are talking against yourself, if you say, well, I don't know if I can have it. What? Why would you say that? Or I don't know if, I can do this. All those things are caused. They're going to cause limiting beliefs in your ability to make Jupiter work. And that's what we're doing. We're getting Jupiter to work for us, right? And in order for Jupiter to work, we got to be aligned in the mind, the expansion of how you see your mind, and the Mercury communication. Both of those things have to be in alignment, because if they are in alignment, now everything that you want to work, everything you need to happen, Jupiter can come in with this conjunction of Saturn, which is the structure. You got to do the work. You're not going to be able to get these blessings, y'all, if y'all not studying your charts. If you texting me about the smallest thing and I've given you what you need to work on. We've talked about everything that comes up in this Sag energy for this particular month. If you don't study it, then I can't help you. I can't keep you from having emotional upsets if you want to do your own self, because you're not hurting me when you don't do your work. You're hurting you and the next 3 generations of you. Is what you're hurting when you don't look at yourself. We don't look at what your mama and your daddy and your grandmama and the 3 generations before you. If you don't study what they left you, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay? So watch what you're saying to yourself. Your words are spells, so cast them well. Okay? All right, we done got to it now. Oh my goodness, I'm 19 minutes over. Hold up. Stop, Michelle.